Roger. Ready to move out.
Hey, and welcome to iHeart Intellectual Radio, Black Conservative Radio. I am your host, Alan J. Campbell, here, aka the Batman, here at the top of the hour in the city of Gotham. All right, a couple of things that I'm gonna touch on. Okay, and I know everybody's really geared up for this deal with Jesse Smollett and all this kind of carrying on. Trust me, you already know I'm gonna get into that, and you already know what you're gonna get from me. I'm the most unfiltered person that you probably will probably run across in your life. But you know what? That's just how I roll. I'm just gonna just lay it out there. I'm not gonna dance around it or sugarcoat these things. Okay, but first things first. Um, this I'm not going to get too much. I know somebody may want to hear something about this Ukraine Russia deal. Hey, like I said before, I don't care. This is white people fighting other white people. Bottom line. Not to mention that here, and this is something that I said long ago. Russia has asked China to back them up. China and Russia are best buddies. They're pals. They're friends. You don't think China's going to back Russia up? Because here's why. The United States has stepped in, sticking their nose in something that don't have nothing to do with them. Not only that, but you are shipping arms to the Ukrainians through Poland. Russia has said, don't do that. So now here's the other thing. What's going to happen? Guarantee you $10 to a bag of shit. What's going to happen? Should China decide to get involved, they are going to stop. They're going to create sanctions against the United States for interfering in something that they don't have anything to do with. You're going to basically, it's an old saying, is the enemy of my enemy my friend? Is the enemy of my enemy my friend? I believe I'm saying that right. He's a friend of mine. Yeah, I believe I am. But long story short, Russia and China are friends. The United States and China are not. Now, here's what's happening. The United States have created sanctions against Russia. So now what happens? Okay, so now you're no longer our business partner, so we're not going to do business with you. China's going to shut things down concerning the United States. Make no mistake about that. Oh, while we're talking about this, this is another I would say another crackhead move. I'm just being truthful. Let's take the WNBA player Brittany Gantner. You truly have to be just a complete class A idiot. Here's the thing about Russia. Russia has a zero tolerance for drugs. Zero tolerance. They don't care what it is. Get caught with any type of narcotics or anything that they deem a narcotic. Get caught with a bottle of pills with no label on it. The same thing that happened. They locked her sweet black ass up. Now here's the problem with that: the fact that they don't have access to her because the United States has removed all U.S. personnel from Russia and only left a handful of people at the U.S. consulate in Russia. And what's happening is that Russia has prohibited them from moving or getting access to her. This is a hot mess, people. This is going to turn into such an international mess that's so unbelievable. Oh, not to mention there are two other individuals over there that are locked up. It's two former Marines. One guy's doing 9 years, another guy's doing 17 years. For what? Narcotics. They're not playing. They are not playing. So Brittany Gantner was on her way. She was there when they were telling all U.S. nationals to leave Russia. She gets caught at the airport with a vape pen with what is that called, Earl? CBD? Is that what that is? The marijuana, the what well whatever the CBD. She got caught with a vape pen. Okay, that's considered in Russia having a zero tolerance, because see, the whole point, you can't even smoke weed in Russia because it's considered contraband or narcotic. A zero tolerance. She's got a problem, a huge problem. But this is one of the things that you have to realize where you're at. See, people go to different countries and they forget that they're not there, that where they are, and then the first thing they want to throw, hey, you can't do that, I'm an American. Oh yes, we can. You're not on U.S. soil, and this is our sovereign state, so we can pretty much do what we want. You came here, you got busted, you're going to prison. Now, understand, she's going. If they have their way, she's going to prison. Probably that she's looking at 10 years. And understand this: when you go to prison for a drug charge in Russia, you go to the harshest place and they sentence you to hard labor, which means that you're literally out there breaking rocks with a sledgehammer in flip-flops. I kid you not. If you ever get a chance to watch this show, it's called Locked Up Abroad. It's for real, people. And Brittany Gantner has a problem. The State Department is trying to tread lightly because Sleepy Joe has imposed sanctions. So what's going to happen? Russia says, well, we're not going to give you access to your consulate or any of these American nationals. We're not going to give you that until you stop interfering with us. This is a hot mess, people. A hot mess. So if you're thinking about going to Russia to vacation, and you happen to take a small bag of weed with you, be prepared to stay there for the rest of your life if you get caught. Make no mistake about it, because that will happen. Now, moving on to the bigger and better, the BBD, or the bigger, better deal. Let's talk about our guy, Juicy Smollett. Let's talk about that now. Let's get into that. Okay, so if you haven't heard, or if you've been under a rock for the last 5 days, Jesse Smollett, the actor from Empire, was sentenced. Last Thursday, March 10th, to 150 days for filing a false police report. Okay, now he was convicted in November. He was convicted in November for filing a false police report. Basically, he was convicted of six different felonies. The biggest one, is filing a false police report. Okay, now the thing, and being okay, and even I myself, I've worked on Empire. I've worked with Jesse Smollett. I've worked with him. But one of the things that we sometimes fail to realize, how well do we really know a person? How well, what do we know about them? Are they capable of doing certain things to further an agenda? Okay. Now, right now, we're in this, this Me Too, You Too, R2D2 bullshit. We're into the Alphabet City nonsense. And now, see, these are people who want to become relevant now. Not to mention, now here's the thing. Now, and with that being said, they've completely pushed civil rights for blacks off the table. So, that being said, when we talk about this, and when he did this, when this case has dragged on for 3 years. Now, let's jump in our time machine and go back 3 years, okay, to January of 2019. So, Jesse Smollett, actor on the TV show Empire, okay, coming home after a long day on the set, and stops by a Subway sandwich shop to pick up a tuna sandwich, a foot long tuna sandwich. And as he's leaving, going and heading to his apartment, his story is that he was approached by two men in ski masks, wearing baseball caps that said MAGA, which means, for those who don't know, Make America Great Again. And they hurled racial slurs, put a noose around his neck, and threw bleach on him. Now, this is Jesse's story. Now, I want you all to earmark this part, earmark this one, earmark the Subway sandwich, earmark that. Remember that, because I'm gonna swing back around to that. So and his story is that he gets on the phone and he calls his manager. Oh, something terrible has happened to me, blah, blah, blah. His manager and now remember, now you got to understand something. Jesse Smollett is an actor. He's an actor. So this is a dramatic experience. So he's got to pull his actor's loin. He's got to put on his actor's cape, draw this from his loins, and I got to get into character. I am a victim of homophobic attacks. Now, he gets home. He calls the police. Now, he's still on the phone with his manager. He gets home. He still has the noose. And I know most of you have probably seen the footage from the police body cam. He's got the noose around his neck. But what people didn't pay attention is that the noose was loose. Then all of a sudden, he kind of tightened it up like he was putting on a tie. He went on to give his report to the police, blah, blah, blah. Now, here's the thing. What we have now, I want you all to remember this. The very night that Jesse said this happened, this is when Chicago was in a polar vortex. A polar vortex. Okay, so it was freezing. It was cold, and I'm trying to understand. My thinking is that, how did you get from the studio to the house? Why didn't you just stop or have your driver stop and pick something up, then go to the house and then you're in? I mean, that's what I would have done. I mean, I'm not going to go all the way home and then turn around and go back out at 2 a.m. I'm not going to do that. That's just not going to happen. It'll just be one of them instances where my stomach is in my back and I'm going to carry my hungry black behind to bed. End of story. Now, all the brouhaha and this, that, and the other. So they take Jesse to the hospital. He's got a small bruise and he said he was assaulted, blah, blah, blah. Now, a few days later, the story begins to unravel because the two men, as it happened, they got video surveillance of two men walking in the area. The two men who happened to the two gentlemen who we later found out are two guys that worked with Jesse. One of them was at the time was his bodyguard, and he wanted to be his bodyguard, and they worked out together, things of that nature. Were the Osendero brothers, okay? And their story is that Jesse had paid them had put them up to this, had paid them $3,500 to create this, to do this thing. Not only that, but they have the Osendero brothers' phones, and they took Jesse's phone. By the way, Jesse was very reluctant to turn over his phone to police. Ding, ding, ding. That's one red flag. Now, upon further review, the police got more evidence from a beauty shop, from a beauty hair supply, beauty and hair supply shop, where you see the Osendero brothers purchasing ski masks, gloves, and other items. Okay, purchasing. Not only that, but the canceled check that Jesse wrote, which is in his own handwriting, that has $3,500 on there, the Olsen brothers, that was recovered also. So when we're looking at from that point all the way up to now, you kind of have to be open-minded now. You have to look right. Okay, get it right. We have to understand something too. And we have to put this out there. Right is right, wrong is wrong. And the backstory was Jesse was unhappy with his salary. I'm like, dude, you're on the hottest TV show in the country. You're making goo gobs of money. How much more money do you need? You don't have any kids. Your real responsibility is to yourself. I mean, really, you show up on the set and you do what you do your thing and you leave. And then the thing about it is that you're gay. Nobody's holding that against you. Okay, this, that, and the other. It is what it is. Now, after the police gathered this evidence and they saw that his story began to unravel, Jesse no longer became the victim; he became their suspect. So subsequently, the police had gathered enough evidence, presented it to the King Circus clown over there, Kim Fox. Now, here's the thing. Now, I'm a sidebar with that. I'm a pause with Jesse, and I'm a sidebar into Kim Fox. As I said before, Kim Fox has displayed a level of incompetence in her office. You have to understand, you cannot fault the prosecutors for not charging people correctly or not prosecuting people correctly. You cannot fault the people that are under her charge. When you are in charge, when you are the head honcho, or over there, she's the NHIC, or the affectionately called the head nigga in charge, you are responsible. She's the one that when her prosecutors come in, she is the one that looks at the cases, looks at the charges, and she's the one that either sends it to the grand jury for what they call an indictment or a no bill. An indictment or a no bill. Now, once they when the police department turned it in, and at the time Eddie Johnson was the superintendent, they had more than enough to charge Jesse with one, filing a false police report, and understand something. Every time, and people are a little confused. Well, he filed a false police report and they charged him, and he had 6 counts. I'm gonna tell you why. And this is why we have to understand how the law works. And as I said before, and I'm gonna say it again, I love the law when it works. I love the law when it is applied equally. When it is applied equally. I'm not above the law, and none of you that are out there that are watching or listening are above the law. None of us are. None of us. We have to, whatever we do, we have to answer for it, here or in the afterlife, whichever comes first. Now, with Jesse doing what he's doing, now here's how they came with the 6 counts. Every time Jesse spoke to police or spoke to an officer who was taking his statement, not the same officer, but a different officer. He spoke to several officers at different times, and his story kept tripping over itself. That's 1 count. The first count, he spoke to another officer. That's count 2. Another officer, count 3. Another officer, count 4. Every time he spoke to an officer, and the story kept changing because in his infinite wisdom, how is it? If it's very simple. If something happened to you, something traumatic, your story is going to be consistent. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Earl. If something happened to you, your story is going to be consistent. There's no change. If you got hit by a car, I'm going to ask you, what happened? The car hit me. If I ask you 10 days from now, what's your story going to be? The same thing. I got hit by a car. And then at that point, you may have more recollection. This is what happened. I was hit by the car and it kept going. But the story didn't change. The optimal word in there is he was struck by a vehicle. Jesse's story kept changing, and it changed 6 different times. 6 different times. Not only that, but once they got his phone records and compared his phone records with the old Sendero brothers and started putting the pieces of the puzzle together. And that's one of the things that I, about detective work. It is a long and arduous process. It's like trying to put together we've all been to our grandmother's house and we've seen that crazy 1,000 piece puzzle. Who hasn't seen that? And then you're sitting there, you're like, who in the world is going to sit there and put this damn thing together? But then you find yourself being intrigued and you start taking piece by piece by piece. And that's how the investigation unfolded. So once they had enough, they took it to Kim Foxx. Kim Foxx said, okay, we're going to hand it to the grand jury. It went to the grand jury. The grand jury came back with an indictment. And at that point, once they had the indictment, Kim Foxx issued a warrant for Jussie Smollett's arrest. Jussie was arrested. Now, it gets interesting. Once again, with Kim Foxx, it gets interesting. Members of the Smollett family contacted Kim Foxx directly, which is a no-no. And I'm gonna tell you, and I'm gonna explain this to you. We have to understand something, people. We are blacks. We cannot do the same thing that white people do. We cannot call the state's attorney's office, even if we are their friends, because we're not going to be given the same amount of courtesy. And not only that, but there's a good chance that we can completely screw this thing up, which what Kim Foxx did. Kim Foxx, quote unquote, her own words, I recuse myself in light of the conversation I had with one of the Smollett siblings. In actuality, Kim Foxx did not recuse herself because she had her deputy state's attorney he kept her in the loop. He was reporting to her the ongoings. Look here, dummy. If you learned anything from any episode of Law and Order, you would have known that you could not have done that. Even if it's a third party or by proxy, even if you happen to be coming by a room and they're discussing this, you cannot be part of that. The smart thing, if Kim Foxx wanted to show the level of intelligence that she supposedly possesses, once she saw that this was going to be a conflict, and not only that, but she was also her relationship with the Smolletts prior to this and other members who were attached to the Smolletts. The smartest thing she could have done, or the intelligent, I won't say smart, the intelligent thing she could have done was immediately recuse the Cook County State's Attorney's office from the Smollett case, or she could have transferred the case to another county. But she didn't do that because here's the thing. She's never tried a felony case in her life. Not in the big boy school. Not in the big boy school. This is like getting that surprise test in college. But you've been in college for 7 years. What's the problem? What's wrong? So this is leading to this particular thing. Then once this thing starts to pick up speed, she states, "Oh, well, we're going to drop the case," and he's agreed to do community service and pay restitution. Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing. If he decided to do that, and this is another thing that she dropped the ball on. This means that you don't know what you're doing. What should have happened in order to make it to make it look like what you want it to be, Jussie was supposed to. Now, if how this works, if he said that he agreed to community service and forfeit his bond money of $10,000, that means that Jussie would have had to go before a judge, and he would have had to, what they call, now this is a big word for people. This is a big word for you. Pay attention. A big word. He would have had to allocute, meaning that he would have had to openly admit in court that of his wrongdoing. Then we accept his $10,000 forfeiture, and we set him up for community service. That didn't happen. That did not happen. Did not happen. This is once again the state's attorney dropping the ball. This particular point, now how this came back to court is that a retired judge requested the what they call Freedom of Information Act, or FOIA. Wanted to know, how did this happen? Was everything on the up and up? Was it on the level? It came back that it wasn't. So at that particular point, this particular judge filed a motion in court to have a special prosecutor assigned. A prosecutor was called. Special prosecutor was assigned. Dan Webb, who was a former, keyword, Dan Webb was a former U.S. attorney, former U.S. attorney. And this dude convicted everybody that he got, that he went after. He got him. He got him. There was no doubt in my mind that Dan Webb was going to get a conviction of Jussie Smollett. No doubt in my mind, because you have to understand how the law works. You have to understand how things unfold and how they unravel. Not to get, I know I'm not to get too far, but just let you all know that the phone lines are open here at 708-223-8953. That's 708-223-8953. Now, when Dan Webb came in, here's the thing. Now, this is the funny part. Dan Webb came in. It took him 9 months to go through all the evidence. Now, here's the thing. The same evidence that Kim Foxx had, Dan Webb used the same means and methods, and got not only got an indictment, but then he got a conviction too with the same evidence that Kim Foxx's office had. What's the problem? What the problem is? What's the problem? It shows levels of incompetence. And that came, and once this happened, and then Kim Foxx got raked over the coals on practically every news outlet after this happened, on her inability to run the largest county in the country, her inability to do this. Just a sidebar, because under her watch, crime, or let me rephrase that, violent crimes have shot up 200% in her tenure. 200%. Carjackings are up. Shootings up. Murders are up. These things are up. Retail theft are up. And that's only because she raised what they call the bounty. She raised the bounty from $250 for making it retail theft a felony up to $750. Then it went to $1,000. Well, we want to do that because we don't want to clog up the courts with these petty crimes. Well, what happens is that when you have criminals who have no regards for the law, you really think they give a damn about going to jail, because they're going to get right back out. They're going to get a slap in the wrist. They're going to go right back and do it again. The same thing with repeat gun offenders. For example, next say, I'm gonna come back. It's just, we have to look at this as a whole, people, of the Jussie Smollett situation and the relationship with Kim Foxx's office for the county of Cook here in the state of Illinois. You take the two brothers that were involved in the death of Ella France, the Chicago police officer that was killed back here in August of 2021, last year. Now, these two knuckleheads should have never been on the street. But here's the thing. These two guys were out. One of them on a EM, or electronic monitoring, in possession of a gun and in a car that didn't belong to them, and they wound up killing a police officer. Now, the reason that they both were on probation for a violent crime. Do the math, people. You keep this revolving door going. These guys were involved in a robbery. Understand something. This is one of the reasons why in certain municipalities, why they have detectives working both robbery homicide, or the robbery homicide division. Why? Because robberies usually ends up in a murder. The two tie into each other. And these two guys should have never been on the street, and Ella French would have not probably been where she's at right now, in a cold grave. We have to look at this as a whole. Now, let's fast forward to the Smollett situation. Dan Webb got the conviction with the same evidence that Kim Fox's office had, that Kim Fox had, the same evidence. So help me understand, what did he do differently that she didn't? I'll tell you what he did differently. He applied the law the way it's supposed to be. And experience. Dan Webb he's been an attorney for practically 40 years. This guy has put away some people. He's put away governors, politicians, mobsters. So he's done his homework. This is the guy. It's like, this is the guy that you want when you're wrong, when you've been wronged, you want this guy. But if you're the person that did it, you don't want him to catch your case. Now, back to Jesse. So Jesse gets sentenced. Now, here's the thing, people. You got to understand something. Now, this dude, and Jesse, unfortunately, and the thing about it is that we work together. I've worked with this guy, and to see this for him to carry out the way he's doing is really ridiculous. So the judge sentenced him to 150 days. Roughly 150 days comes out to 4.5 months. But with good behavior, he'll only have to wind up doing 75. And that could easily chop down. He could wind up doing 60 days. Now, this is the reason why. Now, a lot of people's like, well, okay, is he going to prison? No, he's not going to prison, because what they did is what they call consolidated all 6 charges. Basically, he was charged with a class 4 felony. A class 4 felony carries a sentence of 1 to 3 years. He had 6 of them. So what they did is that they consolidated them, and they put him and where his sentence would run what they call concurrent, meaning they're running at the same time. So roughly he gave Jesse, if you're doing the math, he gave Jesse 2 years, but because if with the good time that he would receive this, he would be under a year. So basically, the only way that you would wind up going to prison if you get anything more than 365 days. Jesse was sentenced to 364, which is 1 day, and you cut that in half to about 150. Then you cut the 150 in half to 70 to make it 75. Now, for those who are not very good with math, there's a little thing called a pen or a pencil and a scratch piece of paper. And for those who for the brainiacs, get your calculators out. Now, he's only going to wind up doing 75 days. My opinion, dude, shut your mouth. Do your 75. Enjoy them bologna sandwiches, the little juice cups, the horrible oatmeal, and whatever else. Keep it moving. Do your deal. First of all, be a man, not a punk. Be a man. Do your time. Shut your mouth and roll. But now it's easy to say, but see, you got to realize a lot of people are not built for jail, and Jesse Smollett he's not one of those individuals that are built for jail. Now, one of the things that's really irritating is that now everybody's on this bandwagon saying that he's in the psych ward. You got to understand the housing in the Cook County Jail. Okay, Jesse being a celebrity, Jesse being a person of high profile, he would be housed in what they will call the psychiatric ward, because that is the highest level of security, because they want to keep an eye on him. Jesse is under 24/7 of surveillance. Not only that, but when the officer comes to do a cell check, he's got a body cam. He's going to knock on the door. He's going to ask Jesse to stand up, to stand up, to get on his feet. He want to see him. He want to physically see him to make sure that he's all right and he's not trying to harm himself. Now, during the sentencing, which was on Thursday, Jesse made a spectacle of himself by standing up, and he got into his actor mode, his dramatic mode, and stated, "Well, Your Honor, you know what? I respect you and I respect the jury." Okay, then if you respect the judge and you respect the jury, shut your mouth, go in the back, get out them clothes, put on them county brownies and the Marsha Brady's, get your black ass to the cell, be cool. Just that simple. Be a man and not a punk. You're standing there, and then the killing part. This is the funny part. He had 4 attorneys, and neither one of them could keep him out of jail. Everybody would be fired. One of the attorneys walked up and said, well, because they didn't see him getting any jail time. I don't know how they didn't. There was no way Jesse was leaving the Cook County Criminal Court building and that day a free man. That wasn't going to happen. And so they wanted to file a motion. Well, we want to file a motion to suspend this. We want to file a motion to suspend the sentence. Judge says, respectfully denied. We want to file a motion for something else that they wanted to do. The judge said, no, that is denied. We're not going to have this. And he said, we're not going to have this conversation anymore. Jesse gets up, and as he walks out, he yells, I'm not suicidal. I'm not suicidal. If something happens to me, I didn't do this to myself. Nigga, please. 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 I mean, my goodness, I've seen women get time and take it better than he did. And they went in the back. Well, I did. Well, I got to get this time. Let me get this over with. Let me ride. Very simple. Very simple. He goes into protective custody. He's going to have 4 guards with, when he went back there, he had 4 guards that were going to walk him through every step of the process. He's going to get a full psych eval. He's going to get a medical, and then he's going to change into his county brownies and his Marsha Brady's. And he's going to be escorted with 4 guards. He's going to go by himself through a Sally Port and to the other division. Now, earlier today, his legal team filed a motion to have his conviction overturned, to have him released on bond while the appeal process is working. Now, I'm gonna throw this now. Let me so I don't get to I don't want to forget. And I'm gonna address your question. Now, earlier it was mentioned that this appeared to be what happened to Jesse appeared to be racist. I disagree, and I'm gonna tell you why I disagree. He went through the process like everybody else, and at the same time, if he did not do this, and it's one more little tidbit I'm gonna really get to. I don't want to get too far and then miss it. The system worked. This is one of those things. He broke the law. The thing about this is that the evidence that they had, what they call preponderance of evidence, and the fact that here's also the Osendero brothers' story was more credible than Jesse's story. Not to mention, this isn't the first time that Jesse Smollett has had a run-in with the law. He has a DUI out in California. That's the other thing that was taken into. This isn't your first run-in with the law, and that's also that's taken into consideration. Now, it was mentioned that say, okay, who's ever heard of somebody getting 150 days? Well, there was a gentleman. There was an incident to where a man punched another man, and they got into a fight. One man punched another. The other man fell, cracked his head on the ground, and he died. Okay, so basically he's charged with involuntary manslaughter because he did not intend for the man to die. And some people would agree, well, if you get into a fight, people can get killed. But there was no intent. No intent. The key word, what changes the scope of murder and manslaughter is the little word intent. So this guy killed this guy and he got 60 days only because and only because of the way that the law was structured at that time. Because there was no intent. Now, Jesse gets 150 days. All right. Kim Fox comes out and she does a little piece with Fox, ironically, with Fox News. And she goes on to slam the courts by saying that Jesse, this is where she needs to shut her mouth, because you're only digging your grave, and then you've already dug your grave. Now you're just gonna just pull the dirt in over yourself. Just, if you're gonna do that completely and rid us of your stupidity. She gets on Fox and talks and has a conversation, and she said Jesse was convicted in a kangaroo court. Wait a minute. That's basically saying that your boss, saying publicly that your boss is an idiot. That's ultimately what you're doing. You're saying that the very system that you are in charge of, or that you work with, you're saying that they're inadequate. Gee, isn't that's funny? Isn't that the pot calling the kettle black? It's interesting. You're saying openly, publicly, that he was convicted in a kangaroo court. Let's think about that for a minute. You're part of that system of the kangaroo court. You dim bulb. Use a little common sense. And the scary part is that she's not up for election until 2023. Okay. She's already lost the backing of the police union, the fire union. She's lost the backing, and she's very close to not being endorsed. Here's the scary part: to not being endorsed by the Democratic Party. Very close to not being endorsed. I mean, this one will probably have the shortest legal career probably in the history of the city of Chicago. Because guarantee, I tell you, I don't see her being reelected. I'm going to tell you that right now. I don't see that happening. If she does, it'll be a trick to it. They might even ask for a recall. It's been done. It has been done. So right now they have a lot of protests going. In fact, they were actually out there protesting in front of the county jail the last couple of days, talking about free Jesse. Listen, you all are getting it twisted. Jesse is not a martyr. He is not. Jesse is using his status and his preference to fuel an agenda. And some of you all are too stupid to realize that. When you have a person that is in this position who is able to manipulate a situation like what's being done now, free Jesse, hashtag free Jesse, he broke the law, people. When are we going to understand that? Not only that, but I was actually, I was truly surprised. I saw an article from Taraji that stated, or well, let me phrase that. She compared, and I'm just like, come on now, are you serious? She compared Jesse Smollett's conviction and jailing to that of Emmett Till. I like, I'm like, are you high? Are you really on? You must really be on something, and it must be some powerful shit for you to say something like that. How can you compare Jesse Smollett lying to police, creating this media hoo-ha, to the death of a 14-year-old boy who had nothing to do with? Oh, this is what she said. Because he was accused. No, Jesse wasn't accused. It's a difference. Jesse got convicted on the evidence that was presented. Emmett Till didn't even get a chance to even tell his side of the story. Not only that, but Emmett Till, it was his death sparked a true revolution of civil rights. But see, people have forgotten that now they're using the Me Too, the hashtag Me Too R2U to the bullshit, and the Alphabet City. Now this is the new revolution. Forget about me as a black man in America still being denied certain things, still being pushed aside. Forget about that. I'm no longer important. No longer important. So what's happening now is that now all the the gays and fags and some of these women that are making erroneous allegations against men. Now this is the new revolution, because now you could just say something happened and it's believed. It's believed without anybody, without a shred of proof. Without a shred of proof. Jesse made a mistake because he was trying to further agenda. Oh, and by the way, where are all of those people who were rallying around him when this happened? Where is the Joe Bidens, the Kamala Harrises, the what is the woman's name? The fixer, believe it, Chin. Where is she? Where is Michelle Obama? Where is Barack Obama? Where are all of these people? Where is Lee Daniels? Where's his manager? Where are all of these people who rallied around him during that time? They tried, okay, I'm hearing crickets. Quiet as a church mouse. Quiet as a church mouse. Now, I admire a family that sticks together. I admire that. But it all depends. It depends on what you all are sticking together for. The Smolletts are, they're a close-knit family. They're close-knit. And not only that, but here's the other. Now, let me get into this other part. This a lot of people don't know and realize. This is the part where you have to really start looking at this as being so hypocritical. So being hypocrites. The Smollett family are they're a close-knit family. Close-knit. I mean, these are, from their background. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, how they pulled themselves out, because their mother and father, they were revolutionaries. They were part of the Black Panther movement, so on and so forth. Living out of a van. I mean, they were living out of a van, making. I kid you not. When you get an opportunity, look up the backstory. Their mother, she was, she would make furniture. I kid you not, true story. She made furniture. She made a dinette set for all 6 of these kids as they were coming up. But at the same time, she pushed them into these areas of prominence. Now, here's the flip mode. Now, here's the thing. If you're going to be, well, first of all, if you're going to be of a particular faith, and the Smolletts are Jehovah's Witnesses, here's the thing. If you're going to be part of that, how can you, if you're going to be part of for that matter, if you're going to be part of any faith, Jehovah's Witness, Christian, Buddhist, Catholic, Protestant, Lutheran, whatever, how can you be homosexual when it clearly states that that's an abomination? Don't you think that's relatively hypocritical? I'm gonna let you think about that for a minute. Let's let that stew. And the fact that he completely acted he acted a complete fool. See, make no mistake, if you are of a spiritual mind, there's certain things that you don't have to say. There's certain things that you will not engage in. Certain things. And the fact that and there are numerous individuals who are, who are Jehovah's Witnesses. But at the same time, you're engaging in things that you should be in conflict with. At least you should be. You should be. Not only that, but the other thing is that right is right and wrong is wrong. And then when you get several of the siblings to come out and say that this was wrong, what happened to their brother, that's the close-knit part, I understand. But what about the part to say, when you all had those private talks and you all actually talked about this, hey man, did this really happen? This will stay between me and you. Because when you have 6 or 7 siblings, at least you all are going to break off into small factions, and there's going to be a set of you all that are very close, and they're going to be very close, and that happens. But for the oldest brother to come out and say that that this is not right, he's being mistreated, let's look at what happened. Let's look at, is Jesse going to take any type of responsibility? The first thing about if you're going to be, if you're going to be part of any faith, take that heat, take that responsibility, take that. Just like Puffy say, take that, take that, take that, take that, and he's got to. If he really was about his faith, he would have never got up and said, I'm not suicidal. If anything happens to me, I didn't do this myself. Let me tell you something. If you believe, first and foremost, and me, I'm a firm believer. I don't care what anybody's saying. It's nothing you can do. There's nobody that can change me, here or otherwise. First and foremost, I believe in the Father. I believe in the Father. I believe in the Son, and I believe in the Holy Spirit. So therefore, believing that, that's my protection. That's my guidance. Yes, we're going to stumble and fall. We're going to have, I'll give you another good, I'll tell you, it's a couple other people, and this is funny. Tell you this, like working on Empire, you hear things and you see things. Okay, you take Terrence. Terrence, cool, I love him. Terrence also is a Jehovah's Witness, but Terrence smoke weed. There were times when Terrence come to set, and he was blowed to the point where they had to shoot around his scenes until he got under control. I mean, came to set blowed. Sometimes he came to set intoxicated, and we had to work around that. But at the same time, it's some of you are talking about, well, this is how we should do this, and this is how we should live. Listen, I'm gonna get one thing straight. We are human beings. We are fallible. We are prone to make mistakes and fail. I'm not judging them. I'm in no position to judge them. I'm just stating fact. I'm stating truth. That's what I'm saying. If Jesse had an ultimate, not an ultimate, but an ulterior motive, that means that he was self-serving. He was not serving his fellow man. He wasn't serving God. He was serving himself. And those people who are in service, who are in service or in the service of their faith, you wouldn't even know, you won't even see them, because they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. Even living their lives quietly, living their lives abundantly, living their lives with the gifts that have been given. And Jesse, in fact, the entire Smollett family, they are a group of talented. They're like the Jacksons, talented individuals. And this one incident has had an effect. For example, Journey, his sister, she lost out. There was a project she was working on, and when this happened, they went another direction. He's got 2 brothers that can cook their ass off. This is my point. If you're supposed to be about it, there's certain things you can't engage in, or at least try. Let me rephrase that. Try not to. That's what I'm gonna say. Try not to, because nobody's perfect. I'm not crucifying him. I'm not condemning him. He made a mistake. He made a mistake, and now he's paying for it. He's paying for it. Now, do I agree with this? This was a racist deal. No, I don't agree with that. I don't see that as being that. I see that if Jesse had what the judge really wanted him to do was take accountability. And if he had have done that, if he had said, even if he had went and if he had asked for what his attorneys would have had went to, even if he had went to his attorneys and say, listen, I want to end this right now because this is getting out of hand. Because you got to remember, you're not when you Jesse didn't. I guess Jesse forgot. He was not at the studio. He was not at the set. He was not on set. He wasn't on stage 16 to where he was, to where I guess he was waiting for them once he goes behind the doors for the director to yell, cut, back to one, up, no, check the gate, checking the gate, gate's good, turn around, or moving on. That didn't happen. And he's getting a harsh dose of reality of what most of us go through every single day. Every single day. Bro, you are in a privileged position. Privilege. It's not a right to do what we do as actors. It's a privilege. And sometimes we make mistakes. Let's leave it at that. Jesse made a mistake. Own that shit, brother. You made a mistake. Don't be sitting over there crying and boo-hooing and all this kind of carrying on that you locked up over there. You're in about the safest environment right now. He's locked up and where, like I said, all those people that are in protective custody go to Division 9 because that is the highest level of security because you want to keep an eye on these people. That's what you want to do. Keep an eye on these people. And if he's deep into his deal, Jehovah's Witness deal, if he's not praying, he should be. To help for God to give him the strength to make it through this deal and say, okay, this was not smart. But dude, don't be a hypocrite. Don't be a hypocrite. You're gay. And that's kind of and that doesn't and that is not in line. That is not in line with God. It's not. Never has, never will be. Let's look at that for what it is. The other part, the fiasco and the state's attorney's office that Kim Foxx is leading. And she's leading these people down a dark tunnel or a blind alley. And understand something. That's one of the reasons why several other prosecutors are leaving the office because they can't work under those conditions of poor leadership. And that's what that is over there. Poor leadership. A unit is only as strong as its leader. A ship is only as strong as its captain. A family is as strong as the man leading it. And this is not throwing women out to the side, but in all actuality, when a man is leading it, it's only strong when he's at the head. So with that being said, I see the lights flashing and the helicopters are about to land. So what that means, that's all the time we have here on Black Conservative Radio here on iHeart Intellectual Radio. Shout out to my man Alex over there, Captain Hooks. If you're hungry, go over there, get you some food. You got about 29 minutes to get to one of these locations. 85th and Cottage Grove, 103rd and King Drive, and 15922 South Kedzie and Markham. And with that being said, not my monkey, not my circus. To the Batmobile.
Atomic batteries to power. Turbines to speed.
Roger. Ready to move out.